I think the reason is very simple. It's cost. And the regulation that is coming into effect from 1st January brings with it a level of cost that we've not seen in the industry before. And so it's a combination of the cost together with the weak enforcement climate that currently exists in general across Europe. That's what gives the incentive to perhaps take a shortcut on compliance. We think that the concern is around which type of fuel they choose, rather than whether it's just above or just below the 0.1% level. Because depending on the choice of fuel that you take, you'll have a very different cost scenario. I think from an enforcement perspective that there are a growing number of different approaches to take. There's sampling on board, which is expensive and quite slow. But if you're trying to tell the difference between HFO and diesel, temperature will give you a very clear indication. And that can be used as sort of a proxy measure for ports to figure out where they should actually really spend time investigating and what's probably okay. There are other initiatives which could be taken using that, for example, that temperature principle, such as using the existing AIS as the backbone for a communication platform where a vessel might report the temperature on its fuel line. So with a little imagination, there are a lot of different ways that enforcement could be made easier and more rapid and cheaper. And I think that's actually in our interest. It's in the interest of environment and coastal communities. Well, I think spreading the word is pretty important, because in this industry there's so much attention is given to regulation and regulation development. You'd very easily miss the point that it's actually the enforcement which, especially as the cost of compliance increases, it's the enforcement that gets the job done. And so what we're proposing is to create a forum of interested parties, and parties who have that shared interest, albeit for different reasons, in robust enforcement. And they could comprise industry, both as shippers and shipping companies, environmental advocacy groups, because obviously if regulation is not fully enforced or not fully complied with, the intended benefit isn't realized. And the third group is coastal communities, where the same arguments apply. Well, I think getting the message out that it's actually enforcement more than just regulation by itself that achieves environmental progress. And that's in the interest of responsible industry, both shippers and shipping companies, of coastal communities and environmental advocacy groups. And the benefit for them is that well, unless there is full compliance, the intended benefit of regulation won't be achieved. So what we think we can do is align these groups to create a forum. We call it for the Trident Alliance, where we can pool our resources, because we come from different areas, so we have different skill sets, different knowledge, different access, and we can pursue a number of different strategies. And for industry, this is simply about getting the full benefit, the full value out of the money that you are obliged to spend on compliance anyway. It's not about going beyond what's actually required. So if there are people who are interested in that, I'd be very happy for them to get in touch with me, and we'll see what we can do with this. I think it's doing something is much better than just allowing the current situation to continue.